Hey, what's up, y'all, and welcome back to On Your Mental. This is the podcast that shares candid, open, and sometimes vulnerable conversations between and about men. This week's episode is a special one because this week's episode is for all of you. So I've collected a few questions that have been sent in by DMs or comments over the last few months about things related to episodes we've already had on the show. And today we're answering those questions. It was a really good conversation. I had myself, Kabir, and we're joined by Meghan and Shandy. Both people have been on the podcast before. So I hope you all enjoy this week's episode. And I'll see you all in a moment where the episode starts. Peace.
No, I don't.
I'm gonna do what AJ and Devin did and just keep going.
There's one part where Devin was literally going like this. He was talking to him and he was going like that.
Funny.
That's gross, but like I can see how people sip this.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like when I died at your house from Crown Royal.
Oh my god!
From Crown Royal?
Yeah, I was in high school.
Crown Cold.
Oh, cool.
Crown Cold. Shed.
Ew, Meg.
So order some fucking appies. Anyways.
Bing bada boo.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada boo,
Here
bada
we are.
boom.
Bing bong. As they say, bing bong. Bing bong is in a new spot today.
Oh, is that Bing
Fantastic.
Bong?
That one's Bing Bong.
I
and then
almost broke the other guy.
Frosty.
Frosty.
He has a name. Yeah, nose is still a little crooked on that. But anyways, Bing Bong's in a different place, and today we have two returning guests. Both of you have been on here before multiple times now.
Oh my lord.
And I think that just fits well today because today's episode is a little bit special. For everybody listening and watching, today's episode, we're going to be answering questions that you as the audience have asked, whether that was through a comment, a DM on YouTube, TikTok, wherever, Instagram. You never know. There's a plethora of places to reach out
How many
to
questions
us.
do you get? Like a week?
I don't know, like one or two in the
Okay, cool.
the inbox.
Did
know?
you like sent out a like?
No,
hey,
this was
ask
just
me.
people
Oh,
saying
okay.
things over
Okay.
time. And it would be like follow-ups from certain episodes and be like, oh, I'd like to hear a perspective on this, blah, blah, blah. So today that's what we're doing. And I kind of liked setting this up because it was just, I didn't have to do like a ton of work. I just had to go through and be like, okay,
Yeah.
so these are the ones people asked. These are the ones I think would
They're
fit
good
in
questions.
one.
They
They're
are.
solid
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
All relationship questions.
Oh,
Yeah.
he hates it. He hates it. He hates it. What is
life.
that? Get a wife.
No, you don't want that.
But anyway, so I figured it'd be good to have a more balanced perspective weigh in on this one. So thank you both for joining today.
Of course.
And
No
returning
problem.
and coming in. So the first question, I'll read them out just so I'm not butchering them. I want to make sure I'm saying the right things here. Was from Marc. I'm not going to say last names because I forgot to write them down. But from Marc. Marc had asked, how quickly would you expect yourself to move on from a relationship? And is there any stigma, or do we feel any stigma in moving on too quickly? I put the too quickly in quotations intentionally there because I feel like that part's probably subjective, you know?
I love this question.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I feel like there's this unspoken rule where like you can't date someone too
Mm-hmm.
quickly after a relationship.
But what's the unspoken
Mhm.
part?
But I feel like not a lot of people understand how like clocked out someone might be during a relationship. You know?
100%. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like a lot of people process
That's an
breaking up
interesting point, actually.
at different times.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
typically, in most relationships, you know, it's not always mutual. Someone's typically like breaking up with the other person, and normally that person has like thought it through.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
They understand that like I've been feeling this way for a while, and that's the reason I'm choosing to end it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel like timelines might just be different in terms of how long people have processed.
Right.
Yeah, like you I don't know, you break up on a certain day. They probably felt like the relationship ended like maybe 5-6 months ago, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. So I feel like when they enter a relationship like 1 month after they've broken up,
It's like pregnancy. When the kid is born, right? You say on paper they're born this day, but they've
Yeah.
been in there for 9 months. You know?
That's great.
And so when they're 3 months old, are they really a year?
Yeah.
Or are they,
yeah.
I mean, this isn't a pro-life debate, but it's the same idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so I get that because, yeah, your mind is made up. Breakups typically aren't reactionary, right? It's not just, oh, something bad happened, I'm breaking up right now. You know, there's usually some thought that goes
Yeah.
into a breakup.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree too. But to play devil's advocate,
Mm.
the other person's obviously not thinking the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
thinking the breakup has just ended. And
Yeah.
then how long are we gonna wait?
And then how dare you move on
Yeah.
so quick?
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah,
that's the
seriously.
question too. It's like, when do you do something for yourself versus like when do you continue to look out for that person? And you know,
Mhm.
like at what point do you kind of have to just think, this is what makes me happy?
I usually do I usually wait for a sign from like
The other
other person.
person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I would think like I
A
don't
sign
know.
how? Like a sign.
Like if I see them on like a dating app or like they're going on
Right.
with someone on a date,
Mm.
then that gives me the green light.
Mm.
I think it's also different. It's like, are you like sharing this public relationship all over social? Are you putting it in their face?
Right.
I think if you're moving on, you know, just
In
doing your
private.
own thing privately, you're not,
Yeah.
you know, it's not really, it shouldn't be affecting them,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, because then I guess that's to your point of, and yours as well, of like how much do you care about the person? Like how much do you owe them even outside of the relationship? Do you owe anything? Yeah, that's tricky because you want to do things in your own interest, but you don't want to shove something in their face and be like, yo, look, I'm moving
Yeah,
on. But if you're not
exactly.
doing it, if you're doing it in private, if you were the one who
That's
was
true,
the one who
yeah.
made your choice to leave that relationship, then when you're moving on in private, the other person isn't affected. They're still given the time to heal without seeing you
Oh,
moved
for sure.
on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. There's and I don't know how I would answer the what time is too soon. To me, like moving on within a month is a little sketchy.
Yeah.
I think a
agree.
month for some reason is like the number in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seems a bit too quick.
I think
Yeah.
maybe like 3 months is like a.
I also
Healthy
think like,
buffer.
are we talking
Yeah.
like you're getting into a new relationship? Are you
Right.
just starting to sleep with people? Are you just going on dates? Like what are you thinking 1 month based off of, like in a relationship?
If you're keeping it private, if we're thinking about it that way, then I don't think it can be too soon. Like
Right.
if you're ready to move on, you can move on right away.
Yeah.
As long as you're keeping the other person's like, you're being respectful of the
Yeah,
other
I
person.
think
Yeah,
going
That's
agree.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think going public, I agree. Like you definitely want to wait like
Right.
some months until
Yeah.
you kind of get a better understanding of like
Yeah.
where the other person's at. But in terms of like moving on, I think like you do what you need to do to recover from a breakup.
Agreed.
This is something that's interesting to me is like the idea of a public versus private relationship. Because some people just like posting the person that they're with, right?
Yeah.
In a way, like in our modern age, blah, blah, blah. Like that's a way of showing affection and showing that you care about this person. But some people might want to just keep everything private all the time. And then that wouldn't really matter to that person, you know? Like that person is always private. So they're never thinking about that. So this question does read as like, if you're, I guess, projecting anything else that you're doing and that's hindering the other person's ability to move on, when is too soon? I guess that's really the root of the question. Because if you do it in private, then
Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
if you were ready
World's
to
your
move on, you were
oyster.
ready to move on. Yeah, the world's your oyster. Yeah. The thing that I was going to say is, and I wonder if you've ever noticed this as a difference between men and women, at least, like,
agree. Whoa.
Oh my! What is
Damn,
that?
we're
What is
trains
that from?
what? Shout out to trains. Like, that was a really loud horn. That has
Yeah,
to have been
it
Is
the
there a
setup.
ship nearby?
Yeah, what's going on?
Something's coming in the ports. There's just water crashing through the city. Oh God! Finally, a big one hit. I don't know if you've ever noticed or if you felt this too, that men maybe stereotypically or more often are quicker to jump into like sleeping around after a breakup, that they almost look for like an emotional support after a breakup. Does that ring true to you at all?
I think
even-
it's because men hide from their feelings.
that's what I'm getting at, is
Yeah.
that stereotypically men might be like, oh, like I don't want to address this, so immediately they're looking for a partner to
And then it
find
hits
comfort
them
in.
later on.
Yeah, I think it's like very common for girls to like right after the breakup to take a bit longer to get over it. Whereas guys, it seems like they get over it really quickly, and then like a year later, they're like, I miss this girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I never really
Yeah,
processed
yeah,
my
yeah.
feelings, and now I'm finally starting to.
Yeah.
And
And they think
like I
they're
think
good.
that's a common like thing
Yeah,
that normally
it is for
happens,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
That's a trickier one to deal with, but unrelated to the question. It made me think of this with everything we were talking about. Any other thoughts on that one for Mark? Otherwise,
Thanks, Mark. Great question.
Thanks, Mark.
Seriously,
Great
such
question.
a great
Appreciate
question.
that. This is cool. I'd like to do more things like this too, because if we get more people asking questions, that'd be great.
Yeah.
There's only 2 more episodes in the season, so after this, 2 more, and then next season, maybe there could be a few of these. I don't know. Maybe ask people what they want to know. I don't know. Anyways.
Questions of the week.
Question of the week.
Yeah.
I submit a little Q&A on the story. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
ideas,
Yeah.
possibilities.
Q&A, man.
Could even get one in there. It's gonna be the same person like submitting a question like every week. It's the
we'll
one
submit
really dedicated
something.
fan. Thanks, guys. All right. This next question, and I reworded it already. I had written it down in my notes. They had asked this question, and then I rewrote it in my notes, like to how I would say it. So I'll just read out what I wrote, but it involves their question. Their question is the second half of what I wrote. Anyways, we've talked on the podcast about being friends first before dating, but a perspective shared from this person, Nish, was that what if you've been friends and nothing has happened, then can nothing ever happen? Like if you have been friends for a long time, is that person off limits for dating? And just in general, what do you think about that? That's all they asked. There was no and. But yeah, like if you, because we talked about, it's cool like when you're friends, right? Because that kind of lets you get to know the person. You're not just jumping into it based on like lust or affection or whatever. Like it might be physical attraction. There's more to it, right? And so being friends first can be cool. But what if you've been friends for like forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that is off limits or not?
Never say never, man.
Never.
Yeah.
As Justin Bieber says.
Yes.
Never mind.
Quote the great Justin. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say agree, and then she said to quote Justin Bieber.
I think that as you grow and as you like go through, your years, you change as a person. What you find attractive changes as well. And also like, if you're not in a relationship or if you are, like just things consistently change. And I think, never say never, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with some friends, like there's always that little like
Like a maybe?
like possibility.
That's just never addressed.
Yeah. Because
Until
maybe
one day
it was
it
like,
is.
yeah.
Mhm.
You know?
Like maybe it was just wrong timing for the both of you guys. But I definitely think that friends can be more than friends.
I think the tricky thing with that is, I think the longer you've been friends with, the greater risk there is to initiating something if
I
it didn't
agree.
work.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
Because you can be friends first and you can get to know somebody and be friends in that sense. But like when you've been friends, and this is like a close friend of yours, like all of us are quite close, right? And so, for example, like the longer we are friends, if something does happen, is there a chance of not being able to step back out of that, right? It depends on the people, right? It entirely depends on the people, but I guess that plays into it too.
Yeah, I would say definitely there's a bigger risk the longer you are.
There's
the
There's a
longer you're
bigger
friends
risk, but I
for.
feel like because you've been friends for so long, I think you guys acknowledge the fact that you've been friends for so long, and that like you wouldn't want to, I guess, end things on a bad note. So I think you guys, I feel like they could be mature about it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you'd probably respect the relationship and like just the dynamics a bit more as to like if things didn't work out, you'd probably just you'd care a bit more about the person. And then maybe like to the first question, like then when it comes to like moving on and stuff, you'd probably care a bit more about that.
Yeah,
the
you would be
length.
more sensitive to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, combine the two questions.
Ah.
Marc and Nish. Nish Marc. Nish. That's a made up name.
It's a good name.
Yeah, I feel the same way about it, right? Is that
Mhm.
never say never. That was in Karate Kid too, right? Or Karate Kid 2 TOO. Jaden Smith?
Never seen. I think it was.
Never.
T.O.
I think maybe
like
isn't
Karate
that
Kid
why
2.
the song was?
I was saying that in my
Yeah.
sentence.
Yeah, it's
No,
from.
no,
I think
it's in-
the song is
okay.
for. The song is for
For-
Karate Kid.
yeah.
Yeah, it was part of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never say never.
Never say never.
Yeah. I would say things aren't just like off limits just because you've been friends for a long time. If you both wanted to do something, then you both want to do something.
Mhm.
I think potentially it gets a little weird when one person wants it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
And it's not reciprocated.
It's
yeah.
not reciprocated. Because then if they're like, maybe they're starting to like act on that or like see like is this door really open? Like is this something I can go through? God damn it, please let me in. But like if they're trying to like jiggle that door, right, and the other person doesn't want in, that could make things weird too in the friendship. But if your friendship is strong, I would assume, just like you said, that you're able to do this and there's a respect there for the underlying friendship
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
I feel like for like if like for two friends to have a relationship, it'd have to be like you'd have to assume both of them know it's green lights on the other end. I would think if they're
You
like
would
really
hope.
you would hope. Like it's not just like 10 years later someone's just constantly hitting on the other person and like
Well, there's it's something that I've seen in other conversations or heard in other conversations where it's like, and it's, I don't agree with this at all, but people say like, oh, men can't be friends with women. Have you ever heard that?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I hate that.
I
don't
hate that too.
I hate that because like
I don't understand that at all. I hear that all the time.
And I think it comes from, in my opinion, like very insecure men starting that narrative. And I think it goes both ways. I think it could be coming from like insecure women too, where it's like they only see the opposite gender for sexual gratification, right? And it's like, that's not what friendship is.
No.
Right?
No, exactly.
Actually, Jeff talked about that in Jeff's episode. I feel like have you all seen Jeff's episode? I know you have, right? Maybe not, Shandy. I don't know. Great episode. You should definitely check it out.
traitor.
It's but he talked in there about like some men only see women for sex, and those people have a tough time making friends, right? And I think that's bullshit when people say that you cannot be friends with women.
I think
Men
it's
can't be
such
friends with women.
bullshit.
It is such bullshit. Yeah.
Like
No.
clearly there's an issue if you're only seeing every woman as, again, like
Yeah.
as an
Yeah,
object
yeah,
and
yeah.
as a sexual
Yeah.
as prey. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's fucked up.
But
yeah.
I would think like I almost convinced myself like I was thinking like it was during high school, so it wasn't like having sex with every girl I was meeting up with. But like I had convinced myself that like I could only be friends with I couldn't be friends with a girl unless I couldn't.
Right.
There was the
but
potential
I
of
think
hooking
that's
up.
the level of maturity too, where it's like
Right.
now
Yes.
you understand it's like sex and there's like just two different types of
Right.
relationships.
Yeah.
I feel like in high school you're still learning and you're like,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. My reason for bringing that up in relation to this question is like, what if that guy's there just for the long con? You know what I mean? Like they're from the very beginning, they're thinking like, oh, there's a chance.
Damn.
You know, and they're riding it out for years, 10 years.
He's
and then
the
they're the ones who
friend-zoned
have the,
guy.
he's the
He's
friend zone guy. That's what it is. You get friend zoned. And then they're there trying to jimmy that door and it's not fucking opening. There's no way, dude. Get the fuck off my porch, man. Cool. Nish, thank you for the question. I appreciate
Wait,
that.
can I say something?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you know, the dating world, like the dating app world, is pretty hard. And like I feel like I'm hearing about it more and more lately, that people are getting with their friends who have been friends with for like long time. Like
Because of how
shitty the dating app world is.
Do you think also COVID has affected that? Just like
Perhaps.
not
Oh,
meeting
yeah.
strangers
Yeah,
at bars
yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
and
that's a good
you're
point.
only hanging out with your friends.
Definitely a factor.
Definitely a factor.
You guys gonna start making out?
I'm glad you caught that. I was thinking like, is it gonna feel right?
Take my severance pay.
Reuben's like slowly trying to open the door.
Oh, not good today. We'll try again later. Shit. So you're trying to creep into the house, you know, it was like, creaky door. Oh god, woke him up. I could see that, right, being a real thing, right? Is that
And it's cute.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
It's there's nothing bad about it.
No.
I really don't think there's anything bad about it at
No.
all.
Bad about what?
Being ending up dating somebody.
No. I was like
You and me.
confused. No.
No, it's
About dating friends?
dating a friend.
Yeah.
If you can pull it off. If you can pull it off.
If you can pull it off.
And
And
then
then
you can
and
say that
then what
about
happens-
anything.
And then what happens when it ends?
You go
What if
back
it
to being
doesn't end?
friends.
You just go back, right?
Yeah,
just
this
like that.
is the thing too. Is this is under the assumption that it ends?
It's ending.
They
Yeah, it's
all
like
do.
everything's ending.
I mean,
God.
statistically.
Yes, you're
Yes.
right. You are right.
Yeah.
You are right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that I thought was interesting back in the day on apps was when people would say like, "Oh, I'm just looking for friends" on dating apps. In my head, when I was on a dating app, it was for being on a dating app.
Yeah.
My head was get the fuck off the app.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you doing here? You're
Wasting my life.
clogging up my stream.
Isn't that why now there's like specific?
There is,
There's,
yeah.
There's
like
Bumble
On
friends.
Bumble,
I mean,
yeah,
I think
Bumble
that's-
friends. Yeah.
Cabs goes through every possible like avenue. He's on Bumble Business. He's on
This one.
I gotta meet somebody.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm just networking, guys.
Shows up to some business event naked. Whoa. not my kind of meeting. Eh? Man. All right. Thanks, Nish. Thanks, Shan, for the extra bit. Yeah, that we feel like we've answered that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Cool. What was the question?
All right. This next one is from Mia, and I think it's a bit more open to interpretation, which was they were essentially asking, how do you get over something that just wasn't meant to be? I reworded the question a little bit. I changed it from someone to something because I wanted to make it more open and open to interpretation. Because we could start by saying, how do you get over someone where it just wasn't meant to happen? I think the way I hear that question is like, it's that one-sided green light. It's one person thought this was a go. One person was trying to pursue it, and that person's the one leaving disappointed and having to now move on from something that just wasn't meant to be in their eyes. For the other person, it was never meant to be. There wasn't like a chance, but this person wanted something to work when it didn't. So I was thinking of someone moving on from that, but also something. I was starting to think of things like a job. Yes, that was the first thing that came to mind, right? And that was the thing that I talked about last week. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I talked about not getting a job that I thought I wanted, and so it's like I've been working to move on from that and just accept that I'm not getting that job. It ain't gonna happen. So, what do y'all think about that? What do you think about ways or best ways to move on from something that just wasn't meant to be?
I think that perspective is everything, and I think that a positive and negative mindset can be really altering. So in the beginning, I think there's always, you give yourself time to kind of grieve it, whatever you're grieving, whether it's a lost job, whether it's a lost person, whatever it is. But then you also need to just not focus on the negative, and I think really try to look at the positive and continue to tell yourself those things and remind yourself those things. I think that like kind of goes into like manifestation. It's like a positive mindset. If you think positively, you will be happier. If you think negative thoughts, you will be depressed. Like it's just,
I see it a little bit as like things are meant to happen the way they're supposed to happen. I try and like lean into that, I guess, trope or cliche whenever I find something that I'm frustrated with not having gotten or gone the way I wanted it to go. I started to think things are meant to happen the way they're supposed to happen. The way I'm looking at this whole missing the job thing is like, okay, this is a sign that I shouldn't be focusing on that. I shouldn't be pouring so much energy into it. I should pour more energy into this. It's like that's what I'm using to get myself out of that headspace, right? Obviously the disappointment is there, but if I sat there and went, oh man, I'm not good enough for this, I'm never gonna get this thing, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm just gonna wallow in my sadness and I'm never gonna move on from this.
You're never gonna grow.
So true.
Yeah.
One of my like previous relationships, not gonna say what, but I always kind of knew it was never meant to be. But
like long term.
Yeah. And I tried so hard to like maybe make it something that could be something, but I just knew. So I guess in that sense, it wasn't that hard for me to move on because I already.
It's almost like you were on the other side of that like you were the red light.
Yeah.
This person you were with was the green light, wanting this to go. They're assuming it's gonna work.
Yeah. I was trying to make it a green light, man.
Yeah, fuck, that door wouldn't open. Couldn't get it. Sorry.
I know what you mean. Yeah, that's still tough for you too, though. Like to have to break someone's heart.
Yeah, that's what it is, I guess, right? Yeah. When we're talking about a person.
Yeah.
I think, and maybe I'm making assumptions here, that perhaps relates to you a little bit, Kabir.
When?
You've talked previously on the podcast.
How?
You have spoken about the fact that you may enter a relationship with one foot out the door.
Oh yeah.
I feel as though you're the red light.
I'm the red light?
You're the red light.
You're manifesting a bad relationship.
Let's all turn this into a grill session on Kabir. So why don't you want to be in a relationship? I'm just kidding. But I wonder if that pertains at all. Like if you would feel the same thing that Shandy felt, which is that you know that this thing wasn't going to work because in your head it just wasn't going to. You got into a relationship, and I'm assuming you get into any relationship thinking it will, but then you decide, nah.
What does work? What does will work mean though? Like
That's
Am I thinking
true.
like just forever, you know?
That's true. My perspective on relationships has changed too. I used to think you have to get into a relationship, and if you do commit to a relationship, that's going to be somebody that you marry.
Oh, that not
Right.
thinking like that. When
Yeah.
I make it official, it's not like that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I think definitely actually Jeff's conversation helped me with thinking that way, which is like, no, you don't know, right? You don't know. He said you date somebody until you realize you don't like them, right?
Mhm.
But like, it's not that I don't think I would not like somebody, but yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Date them until you realize you don't want to see them every day.
yeah, and that's fair. Anyways, maybe I was just assuming. Sorry, thought maybe you might relate to that.
I just don't know how that relates to the question.
Whatever. You're on the other side.
If it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be.
There you go.
Give it a good the old college try, and then, then move fucking on.
Move fucking on. Thanks, Kevs. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mia, for the question. Oh, that's dope. All right. You got two more cues. This next one is from Connor. And I thought this one was actually quite interesting. Because did we talk a little bit about red flags? We touched a little bit about red flags.
I think so, yes.
And I
Yes,
think
we did.
this question came all the way from our episode.
Oh,
It's a while back. It's been
is.
sitting in the bank.
wow.
You know, and I've told everybody who's reached out and asked a question, if I was like, oh, I don't want to like answer this as like a 1-to-1, but this could fit a good topic. I'm not lying. I put it all down. I wrote it down somewhere. So eventually, anyways, so Connor had asked, how do you identify and address red flags of your own when in a relationship? I think it's very easy to look back on something and be like, oh yeah, that's where I was being an idiot, or that's where I was being a little too extra, whatever it might be. But do you ever pause and reflect while you're in a relationship and think, maybe I'm sending a red flag right now?
I feel like you have to be at some level of like emotional intelligence to be able to
Yeah,
realize
I was gonna
those
say
kind of
that.
things.
Like, I don't know if there's something you can work on to be more aware. I think you just have to be self-aware in
Yeah,
general of like
yeah.
your surroundings. You have to
agree.
be empathetic. You have to
Mhm.
think about others.
Mm.
Maybe that's it. You have to you have to trying to make an effort to think about others and think about your significant other and how you might be hurting them
Mm.
or impacting them.
There's been so many times where you're like, do you see how you're being or like how you're acting right now? And like sometimes people just don't see it.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking for myself, like when I get angry, like I know I'm angry and like I'm self-aware of it, and I'll say like I'm angry right now. Just like leave me alone for
the
a
dog,
second.
the
Mm.
dog chip.
Yeah, literally earlier I'm like I'm annoyed. Like
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Our trip got canceled, by the way. We were talking about going on a trip last week, and that got canceled. Just
Yeah.
not enough
It
of us
reminds
got
me
the
of,
time
like,
off.
those dog videos where they have the buttons.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, this one is like
stop.
annoyed. Annoyed.
But you know what I mean? Like sometimes just like
Outside
you just have
cat.
to be self-aware to be like and
Yeah.
just communicate that to be like I'm angry right now. Like just leave me alone.
That's a tough thing to do for most people.
It is very
though.
hard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
You have to be
agree.
pretty self-aware.
I think it does come with time, right? Time, age, maturity. I think that plays into it. But hot take, not so hot take. I think it also you're better at doing that if you've been on the receiving end of those red
Yes.
flags.
Right.
If
Yes.
you've seen 'em.
Yes.
You know,
That's a good point.
if you've gone through your own relationship trauma, you've seen stuff that didn't work, you might be more aware of how you're presenting yourself in a relationship to your new partner, right? Whoever that may be. And like I've thought of that, and it's like going forward, like if in the past I might not have been good at communicating when I was not feeling great in a day, you know what I mean? If I had something that I might not even know why I'm feeling down a day, but at least now I would think, oh, I'll communicate it. I'll say like, hey, I'm kind of just feeling in a bum mood. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
But rather than let them sit there and look at me and go, oh, like, are they pissed? Did I do something? Blah, blah, blah. That's a red flag because it leaves them with insecurity and leaves them questioning if they're doing the right
Yeah.
thing. Right. So if you can at least be like, yo, like, I know something's up. I'm not sure what it is. It's not you, but I know something's up right now, but can't pinpoint it.
That's a
That's
good
even
point.
better
Maybe that's
than
why you
that.
do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
It's you're labeling it, right? You're labeling the feeling that you have, and that is hard to do without understanding what those feelings look like on both ends.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the nuance to it, or a nuance to
I'm sure therapy help. I haven't
that. Mm-hmm.
gone to see a therapist yet, but I'm sure therapy would help too.
Mhm.
Like someone telling you.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
There's a difference between therapy and counseling, right?
I have no idea.
I don't
Wait,
know.
It's just to do with benefits.
Yeah, right. Like which one can you access?
It's like an RMT versus. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Versus just like
Yeah.
a
I'm
shiatsu
assuming-
massage.
Yeah.
Happy ending. What? Merry Christmas. Yeah, because I've done counseling, right? I've talked about that before. I've done counseling, but I've never gone to a therapist. I've never had them try.
It's probably
and be
just
like,
their
Yeah.
degree, I assume.
Probably. Yeah, I think so. I feel like with counseling, you need some sort of. Actually, I don't know.
I think a therapist is
Higher?
has more
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
qualifications,
yes,
perhaps?
because
yes.
we have school counselors.
Yes,
But we don't have
I don't
school
think that there's
therapists.
we
therapists.
don't have
yeah.
school therapists.
No.
My counselor has a master's in social work and has done all these other like things that I was looking through recently. And so that's not, it's not a doctorate, you know what I mean? It's not a MD, you know, don't have a PhD, you know, I don't know how this stuff works.
It has to do with prescribing drugs too. That
Because your
type.
therapist can?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
think
one
so.
or the other. I'm
Recommend?
pretty sure therapists can.
Yeah, I would say
Like
definitely
antidepressant
therapists.
pills and stuff. I think they can.
Because I feel like a therapist helps you like label things, whereas a counselor, it's more like you're just speaking to them. They don't necessarily have to impart advice on you, right? Like that's not what it is, and they don't have to tell you like how to get out of how you're feeling necessarily. They're there to listen. That's at least been my experience. I've gotten some advice from my counselor, but that's been my experience mainly as I get to just speak and like this stuff flows out. They're very good listeners, right?
I
Counselors
think
are great
therapists,
listeners.
they'll try to like recommend different ways to approach a situation. Like, I don't know, like CBT, for example.
CBD?
CBT.
T? What's
Yeah.
CBT?
It's like cognitive behavioral
Therapy.
Yeah, something
Ah.
like that. Yeah. Like they'll say like, oh, like I don't exactly know what it is. Whereas like a counselor, I feel like, yeah, I think they might just listen more than anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ask your counselor to see if they'll prescribe you drugs next time.
So what can you give me?
I heard about this CBT.
Got new stuff on the market. I haven't been told about this yet. I learned recently too, if people who do have benefits to access counselors, you can, and my mom was telling me about this, you can get multiple sessions or like incidents to then get a number of sessions from that one incident. What I mean is when I first was seeking out counseling, it was something like work related. I was like stressed out, and that was like last year, at the end of last year. And then I got 15 sessions with my counselor. It's been long enough now where I could open a new file, a new incident, if I wanted to start up counseling again for any reason. And then I get another 15
Interesting.
sessions.
Oh.
Because I thought it was just, I'm 15 sessions and I'm done for the year. And now I got to
Yeah.
wait till next year. But no, it just has to be like another
New-
incident. So people who have
I think your company
benefits-
just has good benefits.
No, this is a real thing. Like whenever
Canada?
people use like ComPsych is
Oh.
like a big one that does like I guess they set you up, like they do the administrative stuff and they get you like connected to a counselor.
Oh.
They do that, I believe.
Very cool.
A lot of workplaces have EAPs or employee assistance programs, and that's where I went through with my workplace, and that got me connected to ComPsych, and then ComPsych found me a counselor. Bing, bada bing, bada boom. You know, so
Yeah, interesting.
yeah, just your mental
You
health
should
tip
put that
for the
site
day.
out there.
I don't know if it's a website.
Oh,
No, like mine was internal. Anyways, doesn't matter.
okay.
Wait, what was the question again?
No, that's what I was about to get back to.
Yeah.
Was Connor had asked how we would go about identifying
Oh,
our own
right,
red
right,
flags
right.
whilst in a relationship. For myself, and I think I've kind of like touched on a couple points, which was like having seen things that I later reflected on as red flags in previous partners, as like things that I need to like look out for. I'm now more conscious of those same things in myself. And then I also looked back and thought, okay, well, how did I play my part in not allowing this relationship to work and build in the right way and develop healthy communication, all that kind of stuff? What was my part in that? And so a lot of it has been retroactive, but going forward, when in a relationship, then it might be different. You know, I might be looking at these things live. Fuck it, we're doing it live. That's a video, right? There's that old like reporter.
I have no idea.
I don't know. It was
Yeah, it was. Actually.
yeah. And he gets all pissed off. He starts ripping it off because they couldn't get. Anyways, fuck it, we're doing it live. But that's what I figure I would do is like, because I've been exposed to these things, I'm a bit more aware, and I'm still not perfect. Right.
The only other thing I would add too is just having consistent communication with the people you're around. Like if you know you upset someone, asking why. Like what did you do that upset them? And then learning from it.
Yeah. And trusting that they will tell you why, hoping that they will tell you why and be able to articulate it why. A good tip, I guess, in communication is like if the person's not ready to talk yet, rather than just leaving it open to like, oh, when do you like, oh, just talk to me when you feel better. That's too general. Give like a date, like where you'll check in again, or even like a time. Like if they're not ready to talk now about why they're upset, be like, okay, well, I'm gonna check in tomorrow at this time.
It's so like a smart goal.
Yeah, it's a smart goal. It is. What's a smart goal, Megan?
What is a specific? No, specific, measurable, actionable results.
Time.
Yeah.
Wait, how would you guys feel?
Megan. Business. Is that Kelly from The Office? You've watched The Office, right?
Yeah.
Kelly, the business bitch.
What were you going to say?
How would you guys feel about like pointing out someone's red flags? You know? And being like, hey, like, I don't like how you did this.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
I think it all comes down to like how you're saying it.
Yeah, you gotta be.
That's true.
I think with those things, you gotta be very careful because all of a sudden it could just turn into an argument.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends on how you go about it.
You should always. I think a lot of people take feedback better when you explain how it affects you and how it impacts how you feel. So by saying like, by doing this made me feel this way, and like maybe even like providing some feedback as to like how you would change things. Like next time, could you please say it this way or.
It's like all those like I forgot where we used to learn them, but like instead of saying like oh it's you like refer to it.
I feel this way because
it's very like cliche and like lame. I'm gonna say lame,
but I feel like it does make
necessary.
a difference.
It does.
It does.
Because like otherwise you feel like you're being attacked when someone's coming at you saying
That's
that kind of thing, right? Like
That's
you
true.
said this.
Yeah, and sometimes people just need to be
you're
reminded
right,
of like how the other person feels. Because all they're thinking is like, well, now I'm upset because.
I feel like it would be, to answer your question, I feel like it would be a difficult thing to do, to be honest, is like consistently be able to label a red flag, right? Because you're not going to be like, yo, that's a red flag. You're going to have to like, you gotta word it in a way where it is feedback
it's like the
about how you're
douchebag
feeling.
jar, but it's like red flag jar.
Exactly. Oh man. I don't know where I had the book. I had the douche journals by Schmidt.
What?
It's a whole bunch of quotes of the times where he would have put something in the douche jar. From New Girl, for people who are wondering what are these people talking about. Anyways, but to do it consistently I think would be hard to do because you're trying to articulate how you feel about how someone said something or how someone did something in a way that is non-accusatory and non-argumentative, right? Because you are trying to just get to the root of like what that thing was, and if it happened again in the future, if a scenario like that happened again in the future, that you will approach it differently in this way, and how you articulate that way is maybe hard to do. Yeah, that was a long answer to your thing, but anyways,
the answer somewhere in there.
Y'all can take away something from this. Kabir's number one red flag: doesn't want to be in the relationship. Yeah. If he's in a relationship, that's a problem. Somebody's got to check this man.
Don't talk to me.
Man, I love you, Kevs. Last question here, and this is it's interesting. I've never experienced any of this, so I mean, I don't know if any of us. It doesn't matter. I'll just ask the question.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about right now.
Get it out, man. What do we think about age gaps in relationships? And do we think a relationship with a larger age gap would be more likely to fail?
Statistically, one of the people will die first.
All right, we know what Megan's in this for.
Till death do us part.
Thank God.
To the death.
Sorry.
Does that count as a failed?
Like...
No.
Oh God.
That's a terrible joke.
Every marriage.
Every marriage is a failed marriage if you think about it that way.
In my head, for some reason, I just think 10 is like the max I would go. But I think in a real situation, if I met someone and like we had the same maturity and we were all just on the same levels of like where we're at in life, you know, places.
Would that not be concerning to you if someone 10 years older had the same maturity as you, or would you think so
True.
highly
Or-
of
No,
yourself?
but I was
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, we're like, I
What
would
if
just.
she was the old soul?
I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose.
But also like someone old, like if you're both, you know, in a similar place in your careers, and maybe you both still like to have fun, like it's, yeah.
Fair.
You calling me a bum? Or are you saying if someone pretended like someone
No, you're not a bum. You're not a bum. You've heard the equation though, right?
No.
What's the equation?
There's a mathematical equation to
Your
that.
their age plus your age divide by 2.
Nope.
The averages.
So think about that for a minute.
It's called
Let's do that math. So, first of all, their age plus your age doesn't matter.
It's somewhere between the ages.
Like, it's there, dude. That just gives you another age that's not going to be theirs. And you're going to have to say, yo, doesn't work, dude. No, there is a calculation. There's a real calculation. It's divide by 2 plus 7. That can be the age gap from the older to the younger.
I'm like the meme right now. It's like
Yeah, I'll try and put it up on the screen. The numbers floating around.
Zach Galifianakis.
No, there's the Zach Galifianakis one, and then there's the woman
The
one
girl,
too,
yeah.
where she's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the walking
Yeah, yeah,
just looking.
the white shapes and
Divide by 2 plus 7.
Divide what by 2?
Your age.
So your own age.
Using my
It's
own
kinda
age.
close.
Using
The
my
year.
own age as an example.
The year I was born.
Take the year you were born, subtract your age, divide by 43. Say I'm 25, right? Divide by 2 would be 12.5. Plus 7 would be 19 and a half, meaning I can date someone who's roughly 19 to 20, and that would be appropriate still for my age. It would not be incredibly frowned upon.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a little weird,
It's a little weird,
but
but that age gap is okay.
yeah.
As you get older, that age gap broadens, right? So if you're 40 years old, divide by 2 plus 7, you could date a 27-year-old, and it wouldn't be weird. Weird.
Really?
Tell that to DiCaprio.
Tell that to the judge. Yeah, tell that to
I
DiCaprio.
don't think he dates anyone over 25 or something.
oh yeah,
Or 26.
Guy's
even younger,
sick.
I think. Yeah.
But that becomes more and more appropriate the older you get.
Does it?
No, it doesn't. No. It doesn't. It never goes back down.
No, it doesn't.
It just
I
slows.
don't know why. I just always have this like reaction
It is.
when I hear.
There is a stigma.
Yeah.
There's a huge
There's a
stigma.
clear stigma. But why?
Because it's weird, man. It's
I
weird.
guess.
Yeah.
Date somebody your own age,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
God damn you, DiCaprio.
But think about it this way. A man getting older, let's say there's a man in his 50s or like early 40s, somewhere around there. So ballpark.
Ballpark 30s,
Where
40s, 50s.
his options have dwindled down significantly.
Especially for childbearing.
Yeah, for childbearing, or just like what his options left are divorced moms
They've already got a kid.
that may
Yeah,
have some
true.
trauma in their lives.
He wants a child of his
I'm
own.
just making myself sound bad. The options have dwindled down quite a bit.
Yes. But that's a fair point, though. Like, if I were 60 years old and I had somehow not had a child yet, but it's been a dream of mine. You know, I want to have a kid. I'm going to have to date somebody younger by a significant amount if I wanted to have that child, unless I'm adopting or becoming a stepdad.
Can you even?
I
get
think
it
I'm
up,
reading
though?
a little too deep.
Yeah.
At 60.
The person asking the question is just like a couple years age gap.
Yeah, we're reading into this too much.
I think it also depends on where you live and just like the norm.
That's true.
You think?
Yeah.
Is there a place where it's normal to...
Hollywood.
Well, like,
Maybe, dude. Like LA, like living in, like, dating up.
well,
you
it's
know?
more like, yeah, I feel like in LA it's probably more common to have like a really young girl date a super rich guy that's old as hell.
I'm gonna be honest here, candid, open, sometimes vulnerable conversations. Back in high school, I hated the idea of people in, like, girls
Different
in our
grades.
grade dating somebody in an older grade, and it's like, oh,
but that's
what-
because like when
what's
you're
so good about them? Huh? But that's a maturity thing.
but yeah, when
Yeah.
you're young, it's like 1 year makes like a huge
It does.
difference.
It really does.
Mhm. And like, yo, I'm dating a grade 12 from another school.
Yeah.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Never
Not
happened
now.
to you guys.
Oh man, you can't be 19.
You guys don't, you don't know her. She goes to a different school.
Man, I think it's weird. Personally, I think it's weird. I think there's a stigma around it. Statistically, one of them dies. So do they not last? Perhaps.
Perhaps, probably.
But I feel like they wouldn't last long enough. How often do you see a couple with a huge age gap?
I know. And I feel like you guys are just so different.
My
too.
dad and my stepmom have a pretty big age gap.
Hmm? Do you know the number?
No, all I know is that she's 10 years older than me.
Oh, your dad and your stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn.
Mm-hmm. But in like they met in China. I feel
Yeah.
like it's a lot more common there.
Interesting. Interesting. Do you think it's a lot
Oh,
more
it's still
common?
weird, but
It's, yeah.
but yeah, I do know a couple.
Yeah. I think it's more common where the man's older,
Oh, for sure.
typically.
I was gonna say, like, do you guys think it's more weird if it's the woman that's older?
To me, that's less weird somehow.
No way.
Shout out to all the cougars.
I wouldn't think of it any different than the man being older than the woman.
It's
being
no matter what, it's weird. To me, it's less weird. To me, it seems almost like creepy when the guy's like way older. I'm not talking about
Yes.
your dad now. Now I feel
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying
No,
all
no,
these
no,
mean
no,
things that
no,
could be
no,
about
no.
your dad. Like,
No.
to me, I feel like it's like you're creeping on
is.
like a younger woman.
Yeah.
You know, like gotta
Like
but
that-
she's
She's
dating
down
a
for
younger
it.
woman, but she's down for it. She's down
No,
for it.
but
She's
like, don't
down
you ever
for
have
it,
the
man.
thought like that could be your daughter, you know, or like
That's
you know, like
may-
that's your daughter's age.
Mm. Would you want? Not, I can never ask any questions about children. You don't want them.
If I had children,
Yes.
I would not. Then I would not. I would make it more weird dating younger.
Think about this, man. Your daughter shows up with her boyfriend. You haven't met him yet,
Okay,
right?
boyfriend's my age.
Boyfriend's your age. Walks in the door. You're like 45. Boyfriend walks in, shakes your hand. He's got like a stronger grip than you. What the fuck am I doing here, man?
That's pretty weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
As
I
a
feel like you
dad-
can't, like,
as a-
can your parents, can your family then intermingle with this new person?
I don't think it's that weird. I think
don't know.
if
I was the dad, I would feel like she was trying to replace a father figure. I don't know.
No.
but I
don't know.
feel like wouldn't you just care more like is he taking care of her? Like is
suppose.
he like a good like would you rather her date some fuckboy that's like her age? I don't know.
No, you're right. But I would
True.
still think it's crazy weird at like the
Mhm.
start,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then obviously once you get to know them, sure they're nice dude.
Yeah.
In summary, to answer the question for Leslie, a little odd. Do you think they're not going to work as often? I don't know.
They might die.
One might die. Right? And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with facts here on this podcast. That's all 5 questions that at least I prepared and thought would fit into a conversation. And that's about all I wrote. That's all she wrote? That's the phrase.
That's a wrap.
So thank you, all of you, for contributing to these questions. Is there anything left that you want to say about any of the questions that we had? Are we all kind of good with the piece we left?
All relationship questions.
Yeah, next time we'll stick to some other stuff. You know, don't worry about this.
No.
Men stuff.
This is what the audience wants.
Yeah,
Gotta
no,
gotta
I'm
give the people what they want, man. Happy holidays. Thank you both again for coming and joining us on this week's episode.
Of course.
Like I said earlier in this episode, we got 2 left. 1 more with a group. To be honest, I haven't planned it yet. We'll figure out what it is, and we'll do a group one. The last one is going to be just Kabir and I, just recapping the year. Nice little I don't know, tap the old memory bank, you know, get something out there. Anyways, thank you all for listening and watching this week's episode. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you have other questions that you want answered, we do answer them. This is now proof that we do answer them rather than just me in my DM. Yeah, you know, I think maybe, yeah. Anyways, just submit questions. If you ever have questions, feel free to ask either by a DM on Instagram or comment here on YouTube, comment on TikTok, whatever it is. I see all of them. Don't necessarily like reply to all the ones on TikTok. because TikTok there's a bit more engagement sometimes. It gets messy.
It does. It
Bunch of
really
weirdos
does.
sometimes too, you know.
me.
You never know. Yeah, Megan.
me
I always
commenting.
reply to Megan, so it's okay. But anyways, that's a long-winded outro there. Thank you all, and we will see you all next week. Peace.